All right.
Right.
IPython.
Good morning, Internet. This is the March 3rd IPython Jupyter dev meeting, and I think we have everyone. Min,
Yep.
Thomas, are you there?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Missing Kyle.
Welcome everyone. We're missing a few people. Kyle Demian is not here today, and we have a short agenda so far. It's the first day after 3.0. Do we have any worrisome feedback from anyone? Anything to lose sleep over, or has it?
So I wish I'd got round to rearranging the info display before we got 3.0 out, because the fact that the function signature does not appear in the tooltip, or depending on exactly what fields show up. Yeah, it's annoying quite a few people. So the fix has gone into 3.1, but yeah, I wish we'd spent a bit more time using it, and I think we would have realized that was going to be a big problem.
Okay, well,
there have been a few bugs have popped up with mistune, but I mean that was always going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's do all of these have already issues recorded and whatnot?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
I think
what else?
the first one is for the Julia guy who wants to both support 2.0 and 3.0 widget at the same time, and we have in IPython itself the version of the widget while they don't have it, so they're not sure how to select which path.
You can. This will at least work for now for the 2.0 3.0 transition, because messages put the new message spec.
Yeah, but
the version in the header.
Widgets are a separate package, and the separate package does not have access to that.
It doesn't have access to
the header.
The message.
You could usually I could use a global, and then their sub package, which is widget, could read this global, but it's not clean.
Yeah, well, it could tell them the version, I guess.
I mean, I think it's worth thinking about with them how we could solve it. At the same time, I think this is exactly why we're saying that widgets is experimental.
Yeah.
And
this
it's also one problem we didn't come across, because the Python kernel is part of IPython, and we didn't saw that we will have this problem.
Well, and I think, I mean, I don't think we would have this problem because I don't think we would support. I don't think we would make that decision.
Yeah, it's because we are the same person.
But I think, given the wildly volatile nature of the widget stuff, I think we would have. I don't think we would have ever tried to support two versions of it.
We've come to terms.
Yeah, but
we've come to terms with the fact that these things are highly volatile, and
but they're highly volatile also because we are changing the Python side. If you only have access to the JavaScript side, it will you don't see it the same way. I mean, I agree that we say that it's volatile, but for the Julia guy, the widget is already deep into Julia, and it's really used everywhere. And supporting 2 and 3 is something which is really important for that. And
that's going to be really, really hard. I mean, they're basically going to need to write 2 entire versions of their widget stuff.
Yeah, sure, and it's fine for them. The only question is, how do they decide?
They should decide based on the version number in the header. That's the information that's available to them.
I mean, don't they have access to IPython version front end too? Right?
Yeah, but then you need to send it back. So it's like a big gross hack.
Oh. Yeah, but the version number, the message spec version number that's in the header is available to them. They have it. Yeah, I mean,
it's the only information that's available. It is available where they need it. That's what they should use.
Yeah.
If iJulia doesn't pass the whole, so in IPython, we don't pass just the little. So in a widget-related message, there's the whole message which has header and parent header and everything, and then there's and that gets dispatched based on message type to a handler, and then and then kind of the content of a COM message. There's a data key that gets dispatched to a handler. That's where all the actual widget stuff happens. And it's very tempting to only pass around that innermost message.content.data.
Yeah.
But in IPython, because we ran into problems with this on the JavaScript side, and we ran into problems with this on the Python side, not having the header or something available when we want it, that we always pass around the entire message.
Okay, sure. We can discuss that on the VI issue.
Yeah, and I think the important thing is that once by the next iteration of the widgets, when they're a standalone package, we should make sure there's the widget version, the independent widget version, is part of the message.
Sure.
Yeah. But for the 2 to 3 transition, the message spec version header, I think, is.
Yeah, sure. It was just to point out what were problem people were.
Okay.
Thinking.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it's going to require a little bit of ugliness on their sides, but at the same time, it sounds solvable.
Yeah.
Not, I mean, no, a bit of glue code, but solvable. What else? What other feedback have we heard?
Not. I mean, there've been little bugs and things that have been getting fixed.
All things considered, that's pretty good. I mean, if Thomas's concern with the info stuff is the biggest one we have, all things considered, that's not bad. I'm reasonably happy with that, because for a release that had so many big and significant changes to only end up with that one thing being something that is worrying us a little bit, that's not a big problem.
And it's in Conda since yesterday, so we should probably get more bug reports in
the next few.
Especially bug reports of my system doesn't have mistune because they've packaged IPython but not mistune.
Conda?
That's not, no. If you Conda update IPython notebook, you get everything.
Yeah, it's because from Conda, IPython,
we've got several.
Because if you do Conda update IPython, which is still what our website says, it will only update IPython, just like pip install. It's exactly the same as
in any case, we have been getting several bug reports of people saying, I upgraded IPython and now it says,
why don't we just change those instructions or make that clear? Because most people at this point are looking for the notebook anyway. And so let's make that the default, and we can simply add a note that says, if for some reason you're only interested in the not notebook components, you can do this, and you will skip a few dependencies.
Just make it pip install IPython square bracket all, because people install notebook and don't realize that notebook can be contributed.
Well, all for pip, but the spelling for Conda is not all, right? The spelling for Conda is
dash notebook.
That's that. So let's make that the default instruction.
There's an open PR on the website to actually do that for a month or so, but it adds other stuff that we didn't want to add, so we can push that through.
Okay.
It's the Conda situation is not at all different from the pip situation.
Okay. Just the spelling is a little different.
Yeah.
Okay.
That if you just update IPython, you won't get the dependencies.
Okay. Alrighty. So was the 3.1 question mark on the agenda a date question mark, a date related question mark, or?
It was just discussing 3.1.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What's our estimate? 6 weeks?
I would say less than that. Like the end of the month. I think.
We have more than 25,000.
Yeah, 30. I would aim for like 30 days after the original release.
Okay, so basically end of March.
Yeah.
Okay. We can make it an April Fool's release.
Sure.
That way, if someone spots a really hideous bug, we can say,
Exactly.
"Oh yeah,
Exactly.
you caught us."
We have automatic cover.
Yeah.
All right, Kester, I think you're next on the agenda. Kester, are you there?
Sorry. Yeah. So, I wanted to ask, is Matthias there? I just wanted to ask. We had an issue in the GitHub about which, and I suspected the issue came from not config not working with the version of IPython 3.0 he had.
Yeah, I haven't had the time to look at that. It was yesterday evening, so I will take a look this morning.
Okay, great. And I was playing around with React.js. It's really good. I have like IPython-like thing where you can select cells in about 70 lines of JavaScript. So yeah, that's looking pretty promising. I guess at some point, I suspect the trade-off will be something like React is almost certainly going to be the easiest thing to program in, and then the question is like whether its performance is acceptable.
Yeah, that's important.
Because we will want to look at this probably before too long in a fair amount of detail. I would encourage you, Kester, as you look at it, try to play devil's advocate and try to look for things you don't like. It's easy to fall in love with a tool. Try to look for things that you actually don't like. Try to look for things that may be potentially a problem for us. And we'll try to do an equally critical comparison with whatever else is potentially available before we jump into one.
Speaking of performance, Atom, which is like the GitHub text editor, just went back away from React.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah.
And was the reason performance?
Yeah. I mean, it's a number of dumb updates, yeah, because like the too complex, deep traceback and everything, so...
Yeah, I mean, if to some degree, if performance is really... I mean, the DOM is the wrong model to use.
Well,
Like-
it would be great to talk to Chris Colbert about the performance issues.
Yeah, he's yeah.
Now, can someone clarify for me, because I haven't dug deep enough into this to really have it clear in my head. What would the relationship be between Phosphor and React? Are they completely orthogonal, or what would be? What would be the intersection point? I mean, they have to touch at some point. Somewhere they're both touching the DOM.
Phosphor, as I understand it, is, I mean, it's like it's a widget toolkit like Qt or GTK or whatever, but implemented in JavaScript. And React is like the model view separation thing.
Well, he's actually got that integrated now into Phosphor because he couldn't use the current version of React with Phosphor, so he rolled his own. So he has his own TypeScript-like version of React.
He's building his own version of something like React.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't every JavaScript programmer?
Okay. Well, then that does bring the question to the forefront. Then they're not as orthogonal as you were saying. Then
they used to be.
Then they're not as orthogonal. And so, what would this mean? Would this mean that if we wanted to use Phosphor, are we now? Do we use Phosphor but without the kind of event handling layer for?
He said we could use Phosphor with React. Like it would just require a little custom.
Okay.
But when I'm visiting them for 2 days, and right after the dev meeting, and so this is going to be one of the main things I'm going to tackle with them. Try to understand this space.
It would be good. It would be good
John and I
if Kester. I mean, Kester is also in the city. Would be good if you guys could have that conversation together and kind of like dig deep into this question in one shot, because it seems like the perfect timing. We're starting to see the collision of the two, but we're not too deep into it yet. And this is 10 days from now, 10, 12 days from now. If you guys could loop in together with Kester, do you think you might spare some time, and not next week, but the week after.
And Jason is really interested in participating in real-time collaboration thing also with the widget. So you could also, he's in New York, Jason. Right?
Yeah. And
so,
Brian is going to be, I mean, that's the thing. Brian is flying to New York. He's going to meet with them. Kester, do you think you guys could sync up on time and have this face-to-face in New York?
This is 2 weeks from now, right?
Yes, exactly.
And this is Jason from Bloomberg?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Brian and you guys, I mean, Brian is flying to New York next Thursday.
I'll be in touch.
So you guys can synchronize on the schedule and when it makes sense schedule-wise, and you guys can try. I would love it if you guys had a chance to dig into this question face-to-face, all of you. It would be fantastic. It would be super productive.
Okay, yeah. I'll make sure that happens.
And I just wanted to add that I'm sort of limited in the amount of time I can spend on this prototyping. So if you can assign as much time for Matthias to be able to work on the notebook side of things as well. So I think the original plan was that he would focus on the text editor stuff because that's something I know almost nothing about. But I had been prototyping the notebook structure.
Okay, so do you kind of scheduling wise? Do you think that when do you think you sort of need to understand how much of these tools are going to have an impact for the real-time stuff so that we can as soon as possible? Okay, well, less than 2 weeks is not going to happen because
that's
because the dev meeting is all next week. So if needed, Kester, if you have other stuff and you need to put this on ice for a week or two to kind of help you with your own scheduling, that may be, because none of this is going to happen before, I mean, that conversation isn't going to happen before 2 weeks. It's just the reality of scheduling. Do you guys have other stuff that you can tackle before this? Will we clarify this in 2 weeks?
Oh, there's so many stuff to do, don't worry.
Okay, so it's not like this is not completely stopping you.
I mean, yeah, I still have plenty of stuff, like both in IPython 3.1, 4.0, and on real time. So.
Okay. Kester, is there anything else that you think we can help you with so that you're not just, I mean, we certainly don't want you to waste any of your time, and we don't want you to twiddle your thumbs. We just need to understand how to make this decision in a way that makes sense for everybody.
No, it's more that if the decision is it's more the other way around. Like eventually, this decision is going to block all the work on the front end, and I think that I can do a certain amount of work on prototyping, but I can only do so much investigation. So to the extent that you want to see a lot of in-depth investigation of these things, then I probably won't be able to do that amount.
No, I think, I mean, it seems like you're already getting a feel for it. It's really more, if you guys are face-to-face in 2 weeks, I suspect in a face-to-face conversation with Chris Colbert, who's been writing Phosphor, and you and Brian and Jason in the room, who has extensive experience with the widgets, you guys will probably be able to come to some form of a conclusion on what we do, and then we move forward.
Okay, I was thinking more generally about the entire process of selecting these things, but on this particular issue, sure.
Yeah, no. In the long run, certainly Matthias can work a lot on that. I mean, that is the reason why we have the funding, is for him to precisely have all of the bandwidth necessary for that. So in the long run, that's not a concern, and we can.
Okay, good to hear.
Yeah, it's just more really in the next 2 weeks, understanding the problem so that we can make a good decision and reach a useful conclusion. Is there anything else on the table or in the kind of in this horizon that we should look at between now and when you guys meet? Because if need be, Matthias or Thomas or someone can try to have a look and collect more information. Thomas, you had some questions about other tools. Was there anything specific that you had in mind?
Not really. I just, kind of as you said earlier, I feel like it's easy to, as you were saying earlier, Fernando, I feel like it's easy to fall in love with one tool and yeah, I'm wary.
Probably the best approach to this is actually to ask them what they think about these frameworks as well, because I'm not a front-end developer. I have a very hard time comparing these things. So at the same time as we're asking about performance, we should probably just ask them generally, how do these frameworks compare?
Yeah.
Another thing I think we need to look at is abilities. John and I spent some time last week looking at Babel, which is a ES6 transpiler, and it supports most of the ES6 spec. It also supports the React JSX, and this would basically allow us to start writing modern and not pick some weird language like TypeScript or CoffeeScript. And so I think this is going to come up in the discussions with Bloomberg.
Okay, because Chris seems to have already gone down the TypeScript route.
Yeah.
The question
and I want to make sure that we've done our homework.
The question is how if we use Babel and ES6, how much do we constrain other people that write extensions to move to that as well?
I don't. It spits out completely valid ES. I don't. There may be constraints, but we would have to look at that.
Because as far as I've looked at before, it was Babel, and one of the problems is almost every extension you would have written right now that use require and everything would just have to be rewritten from scratch, and you couldn't do dynamic loading because most of these tools are made to build your pipeline once and publish it on the web. So it means that we wouldn't have the possibility to have user having ND extensions nice way without recompiling all the JavaScript. Wow.
Yeah.
Which was
so Matthias, if you could summarize those things somewhere that I can have going into those discussions, that would be really useful.
Could you maybe let's make a hackpad actually with kind of these various questions for the JavaScript dynamic, MVC, React, DOM, whole hairball, and you guys will get to disentangle that hairball in New York. Have fun.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have?
Next week dev meeting.
Next week dev meeting. Kester, are you coming?
Yes, I am, but ideally I'd like to come for some fewer days, so it would be good to be able to arrange the stuff that I'm going to be contributing to on something like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, just I mean.
Can you click on that Doodle poll and fill in when you're going to be there? And that goes for everyone, by the way.
Yep.
So that we can schedule
and let's put in this hackpad the agenda. Do we have already an agenda on hackpad, or where are we keeping the agenda? Mark,
yes, we do.
Okay, so I'm going to put that link up. So Kester, we have. So go ahead and fill your stuff there. But honestly, because you're traveling from afar, I think we can. I mean, we tend to be pretty flexible in how we move content around in the various days as needed. So if it makes more sense for your schedule to travel on a specific day, just let us know, and we're happy to put the content that is really most relevant to you in that day or those 2 days, whatever time you're going to be able to spend here. So just put that on the poll, and then feel free to put in the agenda for those days. We'll put those topics.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's mainly obviously the front end stuff and also security that I like to be around for. So I'll add that to the agenda.
So basically, fill out you have access to the hackpad, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so fill out the doodle poll with your times, and then fill out in the agenda the topics that you want to make sure are covered. and then we'll make them match for the days you're here. That's totally fine. And if you can't be here all 4 days, that's not a problem. We'll work on the schedule so that it makes sense for you.
Okay, thanks a lot. And some other Googlers were interested in coming. Did you have any ideas on that, like how many people would be good to have and which days?
We don't have a huge crowd this year, and a lot of we're going to spend a lot of time on the grubby, nasty work of the repo refactoring and the plans for the next kind of 3 years if we get the funding approved and all that. So it would probably be good to concentrate it on the time when you're here. Are there any specific things that they have in mind? Are they related to what you're doing, or are there kind of other topics?
Pretty much the same as me. I think it's just they just want to be up to date, so I might just bring one or two person for the days I'm there.
No, I mean they're welcome to come. We have room, so they're welcome to come. There's plenty of the room where we're going to be can fit us all. So I think you can make the decision. You guys can decide who comes with you based on what makes sense for you guys.
Okay, sounds good.
We have space, and if it's the same topics, it doesn't really put any more pressure on the agenda. Okay. They're welcome to be here.
Okay. And I don't know if you guys saw, but Sylvan yesterday said there was a slight chance that Jason and Sylvan might hop to this side of the country as well.
Oh, wonderful. Well, then we'll have part of the conversations even here, and then you guys can continue in New York with Chris. That would be wonderful. Yeah,
right.
But we don't have a ton of other people coming other than kind of the local group, and the room where we meet is reasonably large, so there will be space, and there's enough space there that if people need to break out and get some other work done, there's 2 side rooms next to the main room where people can scuttle away and take private phone calls or do quiet work if they need to.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and there's obviously network and whatnot.
Okay, thanks a lot. I'll update the hackpad.
And feel free to bring your colleagues as make that decision on your own.
Okay.
We're happy to have them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have anything else? The agenda's kind of over. Any other things? We don't need to make these meetings longer than they need to be. So, anything else, folks?
Don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's keep it short so we can all get back to work. Thanks, everyone. Brian, keep having a good drive.
Thank you.
Hey, Jess, can you stay for a second after we go offline?
Hey.
And Brian, actually, don't hang up for a second. I want to talk about something about ND Grader and the teaching stuff, but we can do that privately, just with Jess.
All right.
Bye, Internet.
Bye, Internet.
Internet.
We're going offline.